मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गरा शॉट। आज के पीक इनटू एवरीडे चाइना में हम देखेंगे टेनेट्स ऑफ द साइनोसेंट्रिक वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर। एवरीवन टॉक्स अबाउट द साइनोसेंट्रिक वर्ल्ड ऑर्डर कि it's going to replace the international, existing international order. The first point is, what is the existing international order? No one knows about it. But what is more interesting is that the new Sino-centric world order wants to replace the existing world order. So let me see how we can get there. What is this going to be? What does it look like? But then before that, let's see what are the genesis of this, Sino-centric world order. First and foremost, the whole story started with the Belt and Road Initiative. And this was as soon as Xi Jinping took over power. Soon he started it with the Global Initiative on Data Security. That was the second marker. The third marker was the Global Development Initiative. The fourth marker of the whole story is the Global Security Initiative. And the latest marker, which has just come about, is the Global Civilizational Initiative. Now, what are all these? When did it start? How did they come about? I had a long chat with General Narasimhan in a video titled Global Development Initiatives of China. In this, he's outlined everything in great detail, but here are some excerpts which give you the various markers of these initiatives. Please have a look.
पहले है कि वन बेल्ट वन रोड इनिशिएटिव जो शी जिनपिंग जब पावर में आए थे उसी समय उन्होंने अनाउंस किया था 2013 में। उसके बाद में पिछले 9 साल में उसका काफ़ी प्रोग्रेस हुआ है और पिछले 2-3 साल के अंदर उसके अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट जो है वो कम भी हुआ है। अगला एक इनिशिएटिव है सितंबर 2020 में चाइना ब्रॉट आउट एन इनिशिएटिव कॉल्ड ग्लोबल इनिशिएटिव ऑन डेटा सिक्योरिटी और ये जो है उसी साल में अगस्त के महीने में यूएस ब्रॉट आउट समथिंग नोन एज अ क्लीन नेटवर्क प्रोग्राम, बेसिकली condemning the Chinese for malignant and other kind of network system that they had and the effort that they make on the data security. So within 1 month, China came back with an initiative called Global Initiative on Data Security. It had 8 clauses, 8 proposals, 6 of them were for the countries and 2 for the ICT companies, which they wanted to do. That this will help in community with shared future. Community with shared future के बारे में आपको जानना जरूरी है, because this is one of the tenets of Xi Jinping's foreign policy, community of shared destiny in the world. That is what he talks about. That जो भविष्य है वो सबका बराबर होना चाहिए और सबके लिए इक्वल होना चाहिए is the kind of vision that he has been projecting security. अगला है जो लिस्ट में जनरल शंकर ने जो उसमें दिया था, that is the Global Development Initiative. This Global Development Initiative has been announced by their foreign minister, Mr. Wang Yi, in September 2020. And thereafter, explanations came up. In China, we need to understand something. Initiative will come. It will look as if it is, not clear how the goals will be, what will happen. Nothing will be clear initially. Slowly and steadily, as they keep talking about this initiative, then they gain the correct kind of, the shape and what needs to be achieved, etc. Global Development Initiative also started like this only, and they announced it, and thereafter they started actually asking the countries to support the GDA. Today, they claim that 100 countries have given their support to the Global Development Initiative, and 68 countries have signed. I mean, some figures say more, but officially, if you go to the website, it says about 68 countries have signed the Memorandum of Understanding for Global Development Initiative. Talk about the community of shared destiny in the world. So basic thing is the community of shared destiny is a thread that runs through One Belt, One Road initiative, the Global Initiative on Data Security, the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative. So that is the common thread. So now the status is that the GDI is now gaining momentum, and 60 countries have signed on to it as group of friends, and then they've already put out a progress report kind of a thing to say that in many of these things we have achieved what we wanted to achieve. And amongst the thirds, now comes to GSI. GSI was announced by Mr. Xi Jinping in POA Forum in April 2022. Now, GSI is something which initially, again, people were very, it was nebulous. It was not very clear what they meant by it, and so there were issues related to that. The thing that people missed out, actually, while observing this is that the preparation for this global security initiative started almost a year ago, when Mr. Wang Yi went to the West Asian countries, that is what we call Middle East. He talked about a peace proposal, 5-point peace and security proposal for the Middle East. Okay, it started there. Thereafter, he goes to Sri Lanka in the month of January and talks about a forum for island nations in the Indian Ocean region. Then he goes to the Pacific Island countries in the month of March 22. And then he talks about a security cooperation agreement with them. And then in month of April, Mr. Xi Jinping announces this global security initiative. The reason why I'm explaining this is before any of these initiatives come into play, there is a build-up that takes place in terms of, there's a building blocks that are put into place, and then that initiative is announced. And in that, two things came out very clearly. One, the Chinese are looking at creating an alternative security architecture in the entire world, because the present architecture is not actually suiting them. Okay. Second, it also came out very clearly that the One Belt, One Road initiative, which I mentioned to you earlier, and the Global Development Initiative, about which I talked to you earlier, both of them will be part of this Global Security Initiative. And in the Global Security Initiative, even the data security, the Global Initiative on Data Security, was also mentioned. So what is happening? One Belt, One Road initiative came, that became part of the GDI, and that Global Development Initiative. Global Initiative on Data Security came, that became part of Global Security Initiative. And One Belt, One Road initiative, Global Development Initiative, all of them have been subsumed into the Global Security Initiative. Then they started something known as the C+C5. C+C5 is basically China plus Central Asian republics, the 5 countries of the Central Asian republics. They supported the GSI. Then the ASEAN, they said that ASEAN supported the GSI. Similarly, they have been gathering momentum with the Global Security Initiative. Okay, they talk about not hegemonical, not interfering into others' issues, etc., but those are all there. But they want to create this different architecture. When we are thinking that the Global Security Initiative is still not gathering good amount of speed, on 15th of March this year, Mr. Xi Jinping, when he was talking about Communist Party with the World Parties, there was a meeting. In that, he proposed a Global Civilization Initiative. Now, the Global Civilization Initiative is actually the one which they want to achieve over a period of time, with all these initiatives feeding into it and going through the community of shared destiny in the world, is something that they are wanting to achieve. So this is a thread that runs and comes to the Global Civilization Initiative. Here also talk about not being hegemonical. They talk about the shared kind of destiny, shared kind of culture, etc., non-interference in others' internal affairs, etc. ये पूरा जो है इसके अंदर उन्होंने दिया हुआ. The Global Civilization Initiative is still in the works. The details of it, or how are they going to achieve it, is still not in the clear. They are just about 2 months old. But as you go along, it will become clear as to what they want to do with this.
Based on this, Xi Jinping is now aiming to establish this Sino Centric world order. But how did it originate? What are his beliefs? Now, Xi Jinping had this great belief that the Westphalian system was founded on the notion of a balance of power. But he feels that it is proven to be unable to achieve a stable world order. All mankind needs a new order that surpasses and supplants the balance of power. Because China didn't find a place in the existing balance of power, or rather its rightful place. He feels that today the age in which a few strong Western powers could work together to decide world affairs is already gone and it will not come back. A new world order is now under construction and that will surpass and supplant the Westphalian system. Right. He is also of the opinion that the system that replaces the 1648 treaties of Westphalia must be socialist model and based on a made in China thinking. He feels as we push for the fusion of the world civilization on the basis of developing our nation's unique civilization, there are several things that must be done. We must insist on taking the road of development with Chinese cultural characteristics. And we must insist on our principles and our bottom line as we effectively engage with others. So here comes in the civilization, and this links up with the global civilization initiative which has just been unleashed on us. The next thing which he believes is that today we are witnessing a qualitative leap in world affairs, where China has moved to the center stage and the US anchored Western order is breaking down. The world is undergoing a great change in situation unseen in a century. Since the most recent period, the most important character of the world, in a word, chaos, and this trend appears likely to continue. This issue of a great leap, a great qualitative change, and the breaking down of the world order has been in repetition. And the last time this came into prominence was in October 22 during the 20 Party Congress. Z depicts the current historical period as one of great risk and opportunity. It is his historic mission to exploit the inflection point and push history along its inexorable course through a process of struggle. So these days, you see this word struggle coming more into the lexicon of Chinese phraseology. It includes identifying internal and external enemies, isolating them, and mobilizing the party and the acolytes against them. Hence, ever since the October 22 20th Party Congress, this word struggle has intensified. There's more on internal security, and as a result, there's more emphasis on external security. Overall, the security dimension of the Chinese strategy has risen. With this as a background, Xi Jinping today is all set to impose the Sino Centric global order on all of us. And he's riding the dragon. And simultaneously, he wants to get into bed with Mao in his mausoleum for posterity. This headline came out that China seeks to challenge the US led global order with a new worldview. And this new worldview was what was enunciated in the 20th Party Congress. Thereafter, when Xi went to Saudi Arabia, and which led to the sealing of the Saudi and Iran deal peace process, right? He signified that a new world order beyond US hegemony was in the offing. He followed it up in the recently held, meet with the Central Asian republics, where he made it very clear in as late as May 23 that China is ready to take its place in the new world order. And part of this, as an extension of this, as General Narasimhan had said, is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the ASEAN, and the forthcoming BRICS. But then the question is, with the economic downturn which is on in China, it's a moot point whether business leaders are ready for a new world order with China at the fore. But having said that, what do you think are the tenets of the new Sino-centric world order? And that is what I'm going to briefly touch upon. First tenet of the Sino-centric rules-based international order is that communism will be the only form of government which will be recognized universally, followed by authoritarian systems and dictatorships. Democracy will be outlined and hastened to death. This is evident in many of his speeches. Xi Jinping, of course, will be the greatest human ever born in the history and in the future of mankind. Religions will be banned. Xi Jinping thought will be the new international religion. Mandarin will be compulsory in education from primary class onwards. And only degrees from Chinese universities will be recognized. Only the Chinese people will have rights. The CCP members will be the first among unequals. Human rights will cease to exist. And human rights hereafter will have Chinese characteristics. Of course, there will only be 3 members of the new UNSC, which will be headquartered in Beijing. And China will have the sole vetoing rights. Who are the other 2 permanent members? Pakistan and North Korea. They will have enforcing rights with nukes and missiles. The China-led international order will be in line with the interests of the CCP-led single-party system. Now, China's political decisions will be international law. There will be a complete revision on the foundations of the existing rules of business between nations, which will be overseen by China. No nation will be able to do anything if China does not give its approval. The tenets will further continue to ensure that China's foreign policy will enhance its interests far more assertively in the reshaped international order. It will govern global security and economy. China will not be dependent on other countries. It will be the other way around. In fact, international production chains will emanate from China only. Everything will be first exported to China for re export. So, China will be the hub of global commerce, and others will be only recipients. Chinese dependencies on the rest of the world will constantly decline. Everyone's dependencies on China will take greater significance to enhance its economy. China's data legislation will be applicable in international situations, negotiations, and deals where it is party to the process. Where it is not party to the process, it will have sole arbitration rights, which means that tomorrow, if we and Pakistan have reason to dispute anything, then we have to go to China. And you know where China will decide. Now, China's civil military fusion policy will be applicable internationally as legal. Chinese strategies, that is made in China 2025, dual circulation, etc., and statements by Xi Jinping to party committees will assume legislative proportions and will be law and rule. These will endeavor to enhance economic and technological dependencies on China with a view to using these to achieve political objectives and interests. China will endeavor to be independent of foreign contribution and supplies through unfair practices, which will have a negative impact on our security, sovereignty, and prosperity. Right? Chinese rules of international business will ensure critical dependencies on the Chinese market. Other markets will be available for China to freely exploit without competition. Civilian corporate interests and military capabilities will be fused together to ensure international coercion of trade, commerce, and business. Critical infrastructure like telecommunications, data, energy, and transport infrastructure will be based on Chinese architecture solely meant for China's benefit. And Chinese rules will override all functional aspects of this infrastructure. IPR of cutting edge technologies will be automatically sole propriety for China to exploit. Governance of international peace and security will be based on Xi Jinping thought, and its edicts will emanate from China. Espionage activities and hybrid threats in politics, business, science, and research and society will be legal for China so that they can pursue it at will. For all others, a harsh punitive code will be instituted. Intimidation or coercion by Chinese authorities will be the norm and legal. Every effort will be made to destroy all forms of free, democratic constitutional systems wherever they exist. Chinese propaganda and disinformation will be a legitimate tool of international governance for China and punishable for everyone else. Confucius institutes will be upgraded to national university status in all countries, and degrees from them will be of the highest rating. All other forms of education will be junk status. All countries will have re education centers to cleanse people and imbibe the spirit of cultural revolution in them. They will be taught through great leaps day in and day out. All global commons will be Chinese commons. UNCLOS will be hereafter known as SINCLOS. China will be the first colonizer of the moon and will own it and anything beyond in space. Anyone going to moon will need a visa from China. Sino Centric world order ensures that all doors will be open for China as China keeps its doors shut. And that will be the Chinese form of common destiny of mankind. Right. But will this happen? With the way the Chinese economy is going, it is at odds with what it can do and what it has. And if you ask me my opinion, the emperor has no clothes. But then he's got his two mighty allies, North Korea and Pakistan, who will enforce the Sino-centric world order on us. Thank you, goodbye, and Jai Hind.